As you know, when you're building a business, you're going to run into these different problems. Same type of phenomenon happened for us while we're in the trenches doing deals. We have these different problem sets. When you're in the game of whatever industry you're in, you're going to find things that just have problem points. And if you can solve those and it's valuable to customers, that's ultimately what can spawn a lot of these businesses.
Eric, thank you for joining me on our Thought Leader Spotlight series. I'm your host over here, Matt Camp, head of partnerships at DealMachine. And on these, we like to shine in a spotlight on industry experts like yourself, see your how you see the world evolving in the real estate industry, and hear your inspiring stories. So, Eric, really excited to welcome you on today, man. Erick Gydesen is a real estate investor and agent based in San Diego. You've done over $700 million in sales in the real estate industry and over 1,500 flips. So excited to welcome you on. I know you run a ton of businesses. I appreciate you taking a few minutes out for us today, man. Thanks for joining us.
Matt, thanks for having me. Always a pleasure.
Yeah. Can you tell us more? I mean, I just briefly mentioned a little bit about your track history there, but tell us more about how you got into this and we'll start there.
Yeah, I fell into it like many people do in real estate. I got lucky, if you will. I was in school, and a buddy of mine came to me one night, and it was late. He's like, "Hey, any chance we want to take an interview tomorrow at 8 a.m.?" And I was like, "For what? It's already 11:30, like 12. It was almost midnight." He's like, "I totally screwed up. I had another guy who was gonna come with me to interview with these guys. They've invested in apartment buildings, and they're starting this new business. It's something called like hard money or something like that. I'm not really sure what it is, but they're super savvy. They're part of my entrepreneur finance class." And I need to bring someone else to the interview. So I was like, all right, sign me up. Let's go take a look at it. And little did I know that was the start of the journey. I got connected with these guys. They liked my background. I was always selling stuff prior. I was painting houses. I was doing all this other crazy stuff, door knocking, selling, etc. And so like, hey, this guy's perfect. Let's bring him and help us start selling investment purpose loans. And that's where it started. So I was the guy going to the local meetups, meeting all the rehabbers and the developers and the people are, fixing property and holding it. And I was getting investment purpose money set up for them. So I did that for the first couple years, and that's when I met my now business partner Phil.
Mm-hmm.
Was at one of those events, and from there got licensed, started doing retail transactions. We're also buying properties to flip, and we've built that up over the last, gosh, it's going on 9-10 years now.
Wow.
And yeah, so we flip a bunch of property, do some wholesaling, develop quite a few units as well, and we have some ancillary businesses. So yeah, it's been a fun ride.
Yeah, yeah. Can you dig into that a little bit more in terms of I know you've got quite a few quite a few businesses going in tandem now. Can you
Yeah.
tell us more around what those are, like the strategy behind that, how you're kind of thinking through that? Like I love to hear your guys' thought processes as you continue to build out and provide more and more value to people there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So the core business for us, it's called GG Homes, in our market under the brand iBuySD.com. And what we do is we purchase homes that typically have some type of value add. Usually these are homes that are more dilapidated, right? Your normal fixer properties. For properties that don't fit that mold, or we can't create a value add with them, we're listing properties. So we have our real estate team that can also handle that on the back end. Um, we have a development group that we've built out. So we're taking land or homes with a single family property or small multifamily, adding units to that. There's some really incredible bonuses that our city and state are giving us. So we're able to develop quite a few units. So we're building basically in a lot of these backyards or on land around here, creating more housing. And so that's the development side of the business. And then we have a digital marketing agency. So we do PPC for clients around the nation. We've got, I think, 75 clients around the nation. So a lot of the top guys and gals that you see out there, we service their digital marketing for them.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a direct mail marketing agency as well. And that services a lot of those same clients doing direct mail. And so we're doing everything from strategy um, to creative, to frequency, to printing and shipping and all that type of stuff for those direct mail clients. And then on the long-term side, I guess holding properties, if you will, we are doing a lot of student rentals, some other long-term stuff, and then quite a few short-term rentals over the last 3 to 4 years. So a mix of everything, Matt. It's
Yeah.
whatever we can get our hands on that makes sense at the time we're usually pursuing it. So
Yeah, you stay busy, man.
yeah.
How do you guys? What is your process? Because you're solving so many individual problems there. What is your process when you're thinking through like, hey, should we start a new venture to solve this, or should we like how do you kind of think through that opportunity and decide that you should go for it or not?
Yeah, that's a great question. Usually, what happens when, as you know, when you're building a business, you're gonna run into these different problems. You're like, oh, okay. For example, we need to find better data that we can send our mail to, right? You can get in touch with a company like DealMachine that can help you solve that, right? That's likely where DealMachine was started. Was, hey, we have this problem where we need to identify these properties in
Mhm.
mass that are going to be best to target, but there's no real solution for it. That's the spawn of DealMachine, right? I imagine.
Mhm. Yeah.
And that same type of phenomenon happened for us while we're in the trenches doing deals. We have these different problem sets. So on direct mail side, for example, um, moving to the direct mail side, there was a point back in like 2020, 2019, 2020, where we had already been running direct mail for a couple of years prior to that, but it was so impacted with iBuyers and
Mhm.
other local buyers, like we were just getting flooded out of mailboxes, and our return on ad spend, we were negative return on ad spend, and so we had to shut down direct mail at that point in time. It wasn't working. From there, we take a look at a lot of other vendors out there, see what was available. We started trying some new creatives ourselves, but nothing was hitting. The other vendors couldn't quite get us to be profitable in that arena. We knew that was such a great channel. We had done so well in it previously, but the game had changed a bit. And so we went on this journey of figuring out direct mail, and we got really good at it. And we came back to the events like, hey guys, we're at 10x return on ad spend at like a very large spend right now.
Wow.
And this is after having it shut down. And people came to us like, hey, please, please, please run our mail for us. Please run it for us. And so it was almost like this reluctance to like, we weren't
Yeah.
trying to go out, like, we didn't have our sights set on building the next business, but it was solving a pain point. And so I think for a lot of businesses, when you're in the game of whatever industry you're in, you're going to find things that just have problem points. And if you can solve those and it's valuable to customers, that's ultimately what can spawn a lot of these businesses. And so for us, that's if you look at almost all of our businesses, it was, opportunity presented itself in the form of there was problems out there or there was opportunity to grab, and we just went for it.
Yeah. That actually, I love that answer. That does not surprise me a bit. Like seeing you and Phil, you guys are like always whenever you show up to Collective Genius where we met you guys, you're always one of those leaders where you're coming in there and just giving a ridiculous amount of value, so much detail around how you're solving problems in your own business. And I'm sure people come to you and they're like, hey, do that for me. And so like it would be natural to be able to spin off and build out new businesses out of that. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, like you said with DealMachine too. I mean, David Lecco, he started it because he was solving his own problem around driving for
Right.
dollars originally, right? And then we've grown into this real estate data platform because we've had people come to us and say, "Can you do this? Can you do that? Can you solve this problem? Like, can you have a dialer? Can you have corporate skip tracing? Like all these individual
Right.
things that we've added." So yeah, I love it, man. Yeah, how do you guys as you're going through that, I mean, I touched on, I guess KPIs are kind of like one of the main things that I really value from your presentations when you're talking at CG and things like that. How do you guys think about, that whole process of and why KPIs are so important and how you guys go about setting goals? And can you give us a little bit of peek behind your playbook there? Just because I think you guys excel so much in that world,
Mhm.
and I from the outside looking in, it seems like that really can separate you as kind of that scaling investor. But can you talk about that a little bit here of what you've learned there?
Yeah. So KPIs, I think the reason we got, and by the way, they're an ever growing like journey that you're on to continually improve your KPIs, make sure they're always accurate, you're measuring the right stuff, and you add in new businesses or stuff, there's different behaviors you got to measure for. The reason I think we've gotten good at them is from that same pain point where we weren't good at them. We weren't good at KPIs in the beginning. I mean, it was a Wild West shop. Everyone was able to sell. We were running and gunning. We were doing deals, right? There's probably a lot of people that listen to this that are in that same spot where it's like, look, I'm doing a bunch of business. I know it's working. We got some profits coming in. I'm not measuring a whole lot yet. But what happened is that's actually a pain point for you, right? There'll be a time in your business where you got to start measuring everything that you're doing, or at least a lot of the core things that you're doing, so that you can change behavior to get a better result. And so for us, it spawned out of not being good at it and putting a focus on it. And now what it allows us to do is sit more in kind of like an advisory board on top of these different businesses and look down into them through numbers to start, and then also getting onto the floors and having the conversations with people about those numbers and seeing what's going on real time. That's helping us diagnose where are things not going right or where are things going really well that we can learn from, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so it gives you that snapshot into what's really happening in your business. And I think when getting started, like for any of our new businesses, you start with the stuff you think is super core. Just start with those, even if it's a couple KPIs, 2, 3, 4 KPIs. Start there, get some great information from that, get some good insights, start making changes based on those couple KPIs. What'll happen is it'll naturally tend to grow over time on what you really need to be looking for. So yeah, KPIs can absolutely just revolutionize a business once you got them, queued up.
Yeah, I mean, that's one great example of what can help take you to that next level. Thinking back on your guys' journey and other investors you talk to who are trying to, maybe they're doing a handful of deals, or they're a little bit consistent, but they're really trying to take it to that next level. Are there any other commonalities among people you talk to, or even reflecting on your own journey, that really are those things that kind of unlock that next level for you and help you guys go from, just kind of starting out and getting traction to, that growth you've seen today?
Yeah, so there's a couple things in the early stages. I think you're trying to figure out, how do I market, how do I sell, how do I get a transaction done, and the problems at that point of your business will be different than maybe where we're at today or anywhere in between, right? I think
Hmm.
in the very beginning, it's learning how to sell, learning how to convert when you do have opportunities in front of you. And until you are able to, or someone on your team is able to learn how to convert these opportunities into deals, that's going to be the number one thing that you want to focus on is, how do I sell? Because if you can learn
Hmm.
to sell, you can start to figure out, I can start running marketing here and there. I can hire in some vendors. I can do these different things. Without learning how to sell, though, it becomes difficult to scale. You'll still get deals, don't get me wrong, but being profitable to the point where you can really start to scale up, you're gonna have to probably learn that skill set first. I think it starts with learning how to sell. Um, and then from there, I think there's different challenges along the way. And in each step, you're going to have a slightly different challenge of what you'll need. There'll be a time in your business where usually this happens around maybe 15 people that work within the company, where you're going to have to learn leadership and also have to learn technology. Like your technology platforms will likely change. They'll have to become a little bit more robust. And you're going to have to learn another form of leadership where it's not just you maybe leading all of your team members. You're going to have someone else that's going to be leading team members. And so you have to become the leader of leaders, right? And so different parts of your business will have different challenges. But I think for most people in this game, it starts with learning how to sell.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that's something common across your entire career too, is how you've approached it on the sales front. I mean, do you have anything there that you can share in terms of what you see? Just, you've done sales in so many different industries and so many different approaches now. What separates like an average or even decent salesperson from a great one? Like what are the kind of those common things that could help, salespeople take it up a notch?
Yeah, I could go on this for an hour, but I'll try to make it more concise. Great salespeople have a massive sense of urgency in how they move.
Mhm.
Um, when opportunities are in front of them, they're all over them. They almost can't sleep at night. They can't put their phone down. They're just very urgent toward getting business done when it needs to. People that are a little more apathetic, or they're more casual about their book of business, won't do as well, right? So I think someone with a high sense of urgency, someone with a high sense of optimism as well. In sales, you get beat up so frequently, and it's easy to get down and kind of negative. Oh, this person told me to, never call them again, or what have you, right? And so you need to have that sense of optimism that in this moment I'm gonna be positive, but also over the long term I can do this, right? I'm gonna have this. I'm gonna be able to stay positive from today into the next 6 months, 12 months in this game of selling. And so I think a sense of optimism, resiliency, um, and then I think great salespeople, they see where the puck is going and get there first. So it's this form of intuition where they can connect information with limited dots and understand kind of where to go. Like, what is a prospective seller? Like, where is their head at and where is it going to be going? Can I meet them there in advance? And if I can start to do that using incomplete information, I'm going to have a tremendous advantage against other people that you might be competing against. And so I think they also have a strong form of intuition. So those are three different things that, there's several others, but those are three things that really
Well,
come to mind on what makes a good salesperson.
yeah, there's only so much ground we can cover in this, but man, we might have to
Yeah.
have you back on just for that, really dive into that if you're up for it. But uh, yeah, and the other thing, stuck out to me talking about your guys' journey too, is the direct mail piece as well, and kind of how you guys think about marketing. What were some of those unlocks there? Like, how did you guys end up recreating direct mail that really stood out, and direct mail that got that 10x and return on investment? Like, what are some of the lessons you guys learned in the direct mail game?
Yeah, yeah. So when I think of direct mail, I can make it a little bit simpler for the audience. We look through what we're calling a DCFL framework. So um, your D is for your data, right? So like, for example, if you're a customer of DealMachine or you're thinking about becoming a customer of DealMachine, there's a lot of great things that you can do that with the data side that you're targeting the homes that you want to buy. You're targeting the homes that have a higher likelihood of turning over or selling, right? Have a higher likelihood of needing a cash offer versus a traditional buyer to purchase that property. DealMachine's a great example of this. Like we drive for dollars. And the reason we do that is because many of these homes just don't qualify for traditional financing. So what does that mean? It's likely going to sell someone who's buying it all cash or with hard money. And so it starts with the data. You got to get your data correct. Otherwise, what happens is you end up marketing to homes that you probably shouldn't be buying or don't really fit your buy box, and it becomes very expensive, and that'll just deteriorate your return on ad spend. So number one, your data's got to be correct. And there's so many different great ways to do this. DealMachine obviously is a great start. And honestly, it could be your entire plan if you wanted to. Like Matt was showing me some of the features on the back end that they've recently added. Incredible stuff. So I think data is a big part of it. The C is your creative. What you're sending to homeowners will make a tremendous difference on your response rates, but not just that, it's also your conversion rates further down the funnel. And so right now, there's different things that are working really well in creative, and it's ever changing. And so you have to constantly be testing. I think the reason we've gotten really good at creative is we've spent $15 million ourselves in direct mail over the last handful of years, right? Just for our own business. I mean, that's an exorbitant amount of money. And we've been able to run countless A/B tests, testing different things from different font colors, different envelopes, different valuations on pieces, our copy, changing different words around to get a better result, and then measuring it on the back end over a large sample size. Do these things make a difference? And the answer is they make a tremendous difference. And so getting creative figured out, you can obviously do it on your own terms. I think a lot of people come to us because the creative that we have built has done very, very well. The F is your frequency. And so there's some really interesting information about in data it actually came from the real estate industry, figuring out if someone were to sell their home and they live in a specific community, who would they choose as their go-to realtor? Who would they choose to sell their home to? And what happened was they looked at people that would send to a community, a real estate agent or a broker sending, mail to a community, people that would do it once a month versus people that would do it 3 times a month. And the overwhelming majority of people with an outsized return were saying, hey, I recognize the person that sends me 3 times a month, not the person that sends me once a month. And so there are instances where I think a lot of people are failing in mail because they're just not sending enough mail. And the only way you can send enough mail, though, is making sure that your data is correct. You need to know who you're targeting, obviously with the right creative, but you got to hit them enough times. And that frequency needs to scale up or down depending on that likelihood of that sale. And I think that people just fall short on that. And so we've really done a lot of testing on how much frequency do we really want, depending on how likely we believe that home is going to sell. And then your L is your lead intake, right? This is your selling part of the game. How do you convert these leads that ultimately do come in? What we found, there's about 9 common responses that we have kind of bucketed as these are the most common 9 things that people will call in and say when they're responding to a mail piece. If you know how to nail these 9 things, you're going to be much more effective at getting an appointment and ultimately getting a contract across. And so we also work with our groups to make sure when they answer their calls in, they're saying the right things, because that's a very valuable period of time. When someone calls you with intent, hey, I got your postcard, I got your letter, right? And they're calling you saying, hey, I have some level of interest. If you can't nail that conversation, you're losing a really high leverage opportunity. That's an opportunity to make a lot of money. And so, and also help these people, right? These people are calling you for a reason. They have some type of pain point that you should be able to solve. And so if you're not able to convert those correctly, you'll have a huge drop off in your returns. So those are some of the examples on the mail side that we look at.
Yeah. Man, that framework is fantastic. So I really appreciate you. I mean, again, those like 9 things that you mentioned. I mean, that would be an awesome follow up to this at some point too. I might try to have you back on if you're open to it at some point around that, man. But yeah,
sure. Happy to.
Yeah, this has been really, really awesome. I was going to ask one last thing before you go. Like, it is As you guys continue to evolve your business, continue to add new facets to the business, how are you really leveling up as a leader? Because it's awesome to see that journey that you and Phil are on, as you guys continue to build these new things out, continue to explore new opportunities. Like, and you're really a good example for a lot of the folks in like a group like CG. But I'd love to know how you approach taking your leadership to the next level.
Leadership is tricky, right? Because uh, leadership and also building leadership is inefficient. It's
Mhm.
not something that is like technology that scales really nicely and you get exponential returns on your time. Like leadership is much more in the weeds, day to day, helping people grow and helping yourself grow. And I think leadership starts with yourself. And how do you get there? How do you become a better leader? How do you do these things? I think it starts with awareness. Is what am I already really good at? Where are some areas maybe I have some deficiencies in? Where are some areas that I think if I can improve upon or people need more of from me, I can be a better leader to them. So I think it starts with awareness, figuring out, assessing who am I today? What are the things I'm very, very good at? Right. So for me, things that I realize I'm pretty good at, or at least people tell me I'm good at it, would be coaching. And so coaching is something that I have a strong suit. If I can spend more time coaching with these people, they're going to get more and more value. Some areas where I've come to awareness where I need more emphasis or attention on is giving people a lot of encouragement. I'm running a million miles an hour. Sometimes I miss and I stop to go tell people, hey, great job, keep doing it. You're doing awesome. And that little bit of encouragement goes a really long way. And that's just an awareness thing for me. And so there's probably something or multiple things that if you're listening to this, you're probably really good at on a leadership spectrum. There's probably a couple of things that you're maybe not so good at on a leadership spectrum, and go figure out what those things are and then start learning those skill sets so you can start to embody them. Now, the best ways to find these skill sets, in my opinion, is there's so many good podcasts, there's so many good books out there, there's so many good leadership training seminars, etc., that you can go to. And you just got to get into those, and not only get into those, but just like go into those and take copious notes. Go into those and start implementing into your game right away. It's just that implementation of that knowledge. And so all the knowledge is out there. You just got to go get it. And I think that most everyone can become a much better leader. Most everyone, if not everybody, can become a much better leader just by applying themselves. And so I think you do that, and then what I like to do, and what we're doing with our team, is then all of our leaders that are there, or prospective leaders, people that have an interest in leadership, and we think they could be good fits within our organization, we're bringing them into what we call leadership circle. And so every single week we are going through content, whether we're watching videos or mostly we're reading a lot of different great books on leadership, and we're going through that leadership content together and then discussing how it applies to our business and different things that we're seeing real time, and having the team have an open format talk about, hey, we just read this, this chapter in this book. They were talking about X, Y, and Z on leadership. This just came up in our business. This is what happened. Here's how I handled it. Here's where I need some feedback on, right? And so we're going through leadership real time with our team and focusing on it like a skill set. And so just like you're training on sales, or just like you're training on your team on how to run transaction coordination or what have you, train on the actual leadership side. And I think if you start to implement that into your business, you'll start to see that your efforts can start to multiply, because of the leverage you have with more leaders. Just
Mhm.
you got to be patient with it, right? Like I said, building leaders is somewhat inefficient, especially in the beginning.
Yeah, man, that's so good. Eric, this was fantastic, man. Really appreciate you coming on. What's the best way for people to get involved with you guys or get in touch with it if they need any help on anything marketing related? Like, tell people more how they can get in touch.
Sure. Yeah, I'll go with the plugs first, and then I'll go into just
Go
personal
for it.
outreach. So for those of you that are interested into our marketing side, we do a really great job. We do done for you services both in digital marketing, which is under ppcforest.com, and then on the direct mail side, it's dmforest.com. You can jump over to dmforest.com, plug in information. I'd love to jump on a call with you, or one of our awesome team members can jump on a call with you, take a look at your business, figure out where you're at today and where we think we could get you over a period of time, and also give you some other pointers on your business. And so that would be for the marketing agencies. And if you're looking to connect with me personally, probably the best way is on Instagram, actually. Just send me a DM. It's just my name, Erick Gydesen, as my handle, and happy to connect with you there.
Perfect, Eric. Really appreciate you coming on, man. Sharing time with our community, and again, we'll have to have you back on at some point here.
Yeah, would love to. Thanks so much, Matt. I appreciate it.
Fantastic. To everyone watching, Matt Camp over here with Deal Machine, and happy deal finding.